the in the past, when I wasn't using the OBS software, we wouldn't be able to reconnect to the same stream. So one of the benefits of this has already proven itself. I was able to reconnect to the same stream after the chat quit on me, because that was kind of good to have. So Dwayne, those of you who just joined, we're talking about the crash in the tour yesterday and how crashes can be avoided, and that was totally unnecessary. So our sport is already inherently risky. Whether you're training, racing, just out socializing, being on the bike, out on the roads, like one of our members here said, he's recovering from a crash with a dog that was not on a leash. You know, dogs, deer, whatever, potholes. And that's all the more reason why it's really a good idea to definitely wear a helmet. I've talked about that before, because most times that you fall, not just from a bicycle, those of you who have played sports like American football or rugby, anytime you hit the ground, your head always has that whiplash motion. That's why it's good to have a helmet on. And nowadays, there's no excuse. They're so light, they're not as heavy as 20 years ago or so. So there's no reason to not wear it, you know. But what we're talking about is we already got risks. So why are these spectators adding to it? So it's good to know that she's going to be sued, just to set some kind of precedent so that people will start paying more attention to staying out of the way of these riders, you know. So I followed Froome, and so I was listening to him, and hopefully he'll be able to continue. He didn't break any bones, so that's good. He said that his leg's swollen, you know, and he was always trying to get back. You know, he had like imbalances with his, after the injury. When you injure yourself, you lose a lot of strength while you're trying to heal. And so he was trying to build back the power balance in both of his legs. And now I think what he needs is really racing fitness. It's okay to train, but it's nothing like racing. So he just needs to get out there and get some racing fitness, and hopefully get himself back to the level he used to be at, so we get to see what he can do at his best once again, you know. So it's kind of like, so then when he was sitting there on the side of the road, they put him on his bike. It took a while. Once he got going, he said he felt better, but I was a bit concerned. It took a while before he got going. And he said just from the shock of the fall, because he thought it was worse than it ended up being, because, you know, I guess the way he fell probably, you know. Yeah, Vera says, yeah, Vera, the sign holder, the ASO, the organization that runs the tour, said they're going to sue the lady holding the sign. And basically, even though it wasn't intentional, it was reckless. This is the picture here that I have. You can see her posing for the camera. And what Tony Martin said, Cycling News interviewed him, and he said that he saw the lady with the sign. Not at this point right now, because when she turned like that, he said that was a surprise to him. He saw her with the sign, he said, but at the last minute, she changed the way she was holding the sign and put it in his path. And you can see on this picture, it is clearly in his path. And when he went down, everybody else behind him just toppled over, you know. It's a mess. She shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have been that close to those guys with that large of a sign. Or if you're going to hold a sign, hold it above the riders or something. That thing was in the path of the riders. You can see it right there. It's just a mess. And those of you who just got here, I'll show this picture of one of the bikes. You can see this bike is history. You know, so however much you pay for these bikes, I mean, I personally would be leery of racing carbon bikes per se that I spend my own money for, unless I have it heavily insured. Because that's the thing with carbon. When they reach that limit, they snap. And depending on, I'm not faulting the bike, but depending on how serious the fall was and how that bike hit, that's what caused that to snap. And it's history. You know, there's not much they can do with that bike. That's a Colnago. You know, it's just, but that's the thing with carbon, you know, and there were wheels that were broken. So it took a while to get the race going, you know, riders. And then I'm sure riders found other stuff at the end of the day. So then think about the mechanics and the rest of the staff and all the stuff they had to deal with just because of that one lady's thing, and then you got one rider that had to quit. Then you got Ineos that had two guys who are no longer in contention because they lost time. Richie Port was one of them. They interviewed him and he was kind of gracious about it. I was like, shoot, he should have said what he was really feeling because, that lady should not have been there, because there were four guys on Ineos that had possibilities of being GC contenders. But because of that crash now, it's down to two because they lost so much time. So Geraint Thomas, I think, and Carapaz are the two because Ineos didn't really pick an outright leader per se, But besides just the racing, I mean, you can injure these guys. These guys spend their whole season, some of them, a contract is hinging on how you perform in a tour. And then somebody does that and you crash out. And what do you do? How do you find a team? That's the kind of stuff. That's too much at risk, at stake for that kind of nonsense to happen. So, I see the comment that Alpine talked about. I already answered that of whether the manufacturers provide custom bikes and so forth. But, quite a bit of the riders have custom bikes, and some of them that can ride a bike off the shelf, why not? If you have the dimensions they need. And then they can use the stem to get themselves dialed in. But what was it? I think it was GCN that did a video on, I believe it was Team Sky a few years back. And they showed that the team carried millimeter increments in stems because some riders would request a 121 millimeter stem. I mean, a millimeter is about a human hair, So come to think, these guys are real picky. So for them to take a bike off the shelf, it's got to be right there for them. Because if you have the option of getting a custom bike versus one off the shelf, you would opt for the ones that fit you the best. So if they're riding a bike that they sell us, that means it fits them. And there's quite a few bikes that can fit you. I mean, I can ride a bike. I can ride from a 56 to a 58. So you got 2 centimeters to play with. So that means I could ride a 57 and so forth. Like my Colnago is a 57, and then the top tube is like 58, almost 59 or something like that. So, but those are the dimensions you look for to make sure that you won't have to put custom stems on your bike to dial yourself in, Oh, yeah, Dwayne's talking about today's stage. Stage 2 was almost similar to stage 1. We just had a different winner. Van der Poel broke away at the end of the race, inside, I believe, a kilometer, and they couldn't catch him. So he won in a similar fashion. And what was really cool is that Alaphilippe, at the end of after the race was over, Van der Poel was sitting on the ground. Alaphilippe rode there and congratulated him. So Van der Poel, after stage 2 now, is wearing the yellow jersey. I don't know if I can find a snapshot or anything on there. But he basically broke away and just put the power down, and nobody could close the gap, similar to what Alaphilippe did. Alaphilippe's move yesterday was more intense because he left with maybe 1.6 kilometers. That's about a mile, a little over a mile. That was a longer attack. And I didn't think he was going to stay away, but he did. He kept looking behind, but he did not quit riding. And they never caught him, and he crossed the line. You can see here, let me switch to this one right here. This is where he crossed the line yesterday, and they're still within sight. But then I think Michael Woods is the second rider that came across. But they did not endanger him. It was clear that he was the strongest yesterday. And even today, he was there. He could see Van der Poel, but I just don't think he could get up to him when he went, And this stage, I believe, suited Van der Poel better than yesterday. So every rider has different capabilities based on what, like if they were in the high mountains, I think it would suit Alaphilippe better because he's a lighter rider. So I don't see Van der Poel winning the Tour de France. Let's be real. He's a talented rider, but I don't know if he's necessarily ready or has the makeup necessarily or has trained for the mountains. You know, I don't think he's ready for that. So he's going to do his best and take chances where the stages suit him. And that's really the way he should ride. Plus, he's had a long season. You know, in the winter, he was doing cyclocross stuff. So, you know, he's got different objectives, I'm sure. The thing with cycling is that depending on how many kilos you have or whatever, when it comes to climbing the high mountains, it's a different kind of effort. So a larger rider, that's another reason why Eddie Merckx is a special cyclist, because he carried around probably 20 kilos more than the average cyclist that was doing well in the Tour. But he was able to haul it up those mountains, you know? So that's the thing. And it's the same thing here. Even Van der Poel, he was interviewed a while back before the Tour, and he made it clear that, yeah, it would be harder for him in the mountains because of how, you know, just the way he's built. You know, every rider's different. I'm hoping that Sagan gets in the hunt for the green jersey. They were doing some sprints today in stage 2. And what's his name? Cavendish was there playing around, you know, so he's in good form. He went for some sprints. It was like intermediate stuff. And so hopefully the green jersey will settle because, you know, Sagan has won it, I think, 7 times. It'd be good to see him compete for it again. The last Tour he was in, they penalized him for some reason, and it just really hampered his chances. Alpine says, devil's advocate here. Should the organizers place barriers or personnel to advise the crowd near the towns? I understand there is no way they can cover the whole stage. They do already. They do. They do where it makes sense. Like, for example, if not just so much for people, if the roads or the roadway is dangerous in a certain area, even if it's in the middle of 2 towns, they go there and they put these, you see these little red and white painted or printed bales. It's almost like bales of hay per se. I don't know if it's hay that's in it, but they're protective coverings on certain streets. And there are places where they will place barriers that's not inside the last kilometer if it's a danger to the riders. But they kind of have to pick their spots. So I don't know if going to tell people. I think that they've already done that. Like I said, in the past, even the riders participated in these public service announcements that they would run. So they've done that already. And you just have people that just make foolish decisions. And she was just being careless. They've already done that. People know. They know. Because this is not the first time this has happened. I mean, this was a large scale where it stopped the race for a long time. But this has happened many times before. You know. So, yeah. They just have never sued anybody or taken any kind of action. You know, they've tried to be diplomatic about it, but, you know, they're deciding to just, you know, set an example. So hopefully that would make a difference. I don't know. But yeah, they already do. They place barriers. If there's a risk to the riders, like a certain ravine or something, they'll put something there where it's practical to just at least alert the riders. Or sometimes they'll even put an officer or somebody working with the race to tell the riders to slow down. They'll have a whistle and it'll blow as the riders approach. Even if it's outside of town, if the area is hazardous, they slow the riders down. So yeah, I think they've done a pretty good job because they've had some horrendous situations where, like, for example, Taylor Phinney hit one of those, you know, the things like you have in the U.S. at the banks or 7-Eleven, the stores where they put concrete in a metal pipe so people can't drive their cars through the windows of the store when they're closed. They have those they call it road furniture. They have those kind of things in Europe on their roads. And Taylor Phinney hit one of them and pretty much tore up his knee. It was not marked or protected. So, yeah, if you name it, they've thought about it because they've had problems with different things. And when you're riding on the road, you got to be paying attention. But this, I don't know if they could avert that, you know, because these people know. Because the rest of the people there, if you look at the picture, let me put this up here. If you look at this picture, for example, look at where the rest of these spectators are. They're on the grass, way up there. They got their phones. They're taking pictures. Look on the right side. There's a lady with a backpack on the right side. Look at where they are. They're standing in the grass. She was in the grass too. He said he saw her until she moved that sign. Looked like she was trying to pose for the camera on the motorbike. That's what it looked like. It's just a moment of inattention. You know, that's unfortunate because it just, you know, it mars the race. I have mentioned that I feel that these guys crash too much anyway, and that's all they need is for somebody to create another mess. Because some, you know, these guys are riding, you're on the limit. You're riding very hard. It doesn't take much for wheels to touch. You know, and it's not necessarily caused by any one rider. You think about it. We all ride in a pace line. If something happens, someone slows down or whatever, that wheel moves back. And then you're behind, and let's say you're on the limit and you're not paying attention. That's all it takes. The crashes happen. In this same stage, they crash going downhill because wheels touched. It wasn't because of anybody. So the point is, yeah, it's already dangerous. So the spectators need to stay out of it. Those guys got enough to contend with, you know. It's, let's see here. So it's kind of, it's one of those things that we have to be aware of as cyclists. And all the more reason why we have to be safe when we're out there riding our bikes. Because we have a lot to deal with, not just cars. Anything out there on the road can take you down. You know, a crack in the road, you know, pothole you don't see can hit and bounce the bars out of your hands. There's a lot of single bike accidents that occur that can cause serious injuries. So, you know, and definitely, you know, pets, like the gentleman said, pet not on a leash running in your path. The dogs love chasing bikes. Quite a few of the dogs that we encounter, some of them stay off the road. They're like, I guess they grow up on a farm. They're referred to as herding dogs. They don't come on the road. But you guys have seen in our video where the dog will come on the road and almost cause a crash. I filmed some of that. So I've been in races where the dog ran in the middle of the pack and caused a major crash. It's a mess. The dogs don't really recognize the danger per se, and they're just chasing whatever, because sometimes they hear us before we even get there. It's like they know you're coming. So it must be the frequency of the chain or whatever. They can pick you up before you get there. So Will wants to know what my thoughts are on a full black kit. I don't have a problem with a full black kit. I've noticed that on this channel anyway, somebody made a comment about, it was a while back, somebody said that, you know, increase your visibility by, you know, changing the color or whatever. This kit wasn't very visible or whatever. Nowadays, we got lights that are USB powered. They're just as bright as the lights on a vehicle. If somebody's driving a car that can't see a light, they don't need to be driving. I mean, they can't see. You know, you wear whatever you want. There's nothing wrong with a full black kit. I don't wear a full black kit this time of the year. As you know, we're having challenges with the heat down here. I would wear it. I personally wear it in the winter on a sunny day. I like that. If it's cloudy, yeah, you can still wear it because I have lights on the front and back of my bike. And then our socks have reflectors, the shoes. So there's enough stuff. There's no excuse. If I'm driving a car and somebody's walking on the side of the road in a black suit, I'll see them. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. If you're not worried about visibility, yeah, you can put on a bright orange jersey. Yeah, it helps. But for the most part, I think the lights are more effective. I noticed since I started using front lights that cars pulling out of driveways see me more. I've actually had drivers come up and ask if the light on the rear of my bike was standard on bicycles now, because they had seen it from so far away and they were wondering what it was. And I said, no, I bought the light and put it on there. And they said, well, every bike should have that. So I really believe in the lights because the light with the patterns that are on there, it catches the attention of these, what I call multitaskers that we have nowadays. That's the problem. It's the lack of attention of the other road users. So yeah, you wear a black kit, stick a light on your bike, you'll be fine. And regardless of whatever kit I'm wearing, I always ride with a light. I just have it. It's on my bike all the time. I don't depend on the visibility of my kit. Now, I still use the contrasting colors, socks and shoes and all of that, because anything that's moving, I think gets more attention than stationary. So if you're going to do anything, let it be on your legs or, that kind of stuff. That would be really cool. So yeah, you wear a black kit, but I wouldn't wear it in the summer. It's too hot. Even the so-called cold black technology stuff, supposedly, the black absorbs the heat. So use your lighter colors when it's very hot. I like black kit. I've worn them here. I'll wear them mostly in the winter because it's cooler. But in the summer, no, I wear the lighter colors as much as possible and the lighter fabrics because they breathe better. Rex Maverick, I'm injured for the entire summer and the only time when it's not wet around here. Well, I don't know what happened, but I hope you recover quickly. Robert Tangler said, dogs hate slow recumbent tracks, or maybe they just hate me. I don't think it's you. I don't know if they hate tracks. I think I did some research one time because, I made a video about why dogs chase the bikes. Dogs in their DNA will chase anything that is getting away from them. And remember, as kids, they'll tell you when a dog is chasing, don't run. Because even if it's not trying to harm you, it thinks you're playing. And they're faster than you are, on foot anyway. So yeah, they'll chase anything that's getting away from them. It's just something that catches their attention, and it's like they want to be the faster object per se. Because even the dogs that chase us, that run, the herding dogs, they run and they look back to see where we are, like it's a race. And I've filmed them. It's kind of funny, but that's what it is. There's very few of them that want to harm you. I've never come across a dog that was chasing me because he was angry. So I don't think it's you. Rex says recumbents are interesting. Those things have light indicators on them. Yeah. Recumbents or trikes, whatever. If you got wheels on there, think about it, guys. Dogs will chase cars. They're looking at those wheels that are moving. That's what they're chasing. It's raining. Yeah, it's raining here now as well. It's funny you said that. We got a storm that's coming through, which I welcome because it's just been kind of sticky and humid. And so right now it's raining, and maybe that's why we had some connection difficulties. But I'm on a LAN, so I'm not even using Wi-Fi, but who knows? We have a Spectrum cable here, and they're not exactly the most robust for connectivity necessarily. They have their issues like all of them. Dwayne says in the summer months, he wears the pearly zoomy black sun sleeves and black leg sleeves that protects you from the sun. I'm not sure why they made that black. I have the sun sleeves, but mine are white. Yeah, they're very thin. Yeah, they're very thin, but I wouldn't wear, I don't like to wear anything very dark, like especially black in the sun, because I believe it absorbs the rays more. I don't know what technology they have in there. I have sun sleeves that I wear sometimes too, but they're white. I try to err on the side of the lighter colors, but for the most part, it's probably okay. If you're comfortable with it, that's fine. I mean, I don't, I think the gentleman who asked about the black kit was hinging on mostly visibility. Because yes, I wouldn't wear all black kit on a cloudy day, black socks, black shoes, stealth, and then nothing on the bike. Well, you're just making it harder for you to be seen. And that's not very practical. So stick a light on there because they see the light. I don't ride without a light. I don't care how sunny it is. I turn on. It's just a habit. I always have my light on. I think it's just a good idea. You know, our vehicle is vulnerable and it's small. I mean, think about it. If you know anybody who's ever or who use a motorcycle on the road, the other road users don't tend to see them either. That's why some of the motorcyclists will get these real loud exhausts or bored out exhausts. So the comment would be like, if they don't see me, they're going to hear me, because they have the same challenges with the drivers of cars saying that they didn't see them and they'll turn in front of them or whatever. And I'm not talking about the motorcyclists that drive like maniacs. I'm talking about the guys who are out there representing, you know, because some of them really take chances. It doesn't matter where you are. I've traveled all over the U.S. and I would see motorcyclists riding on the line between the lanes. You know, I mean, come on. And sometimes they really take chances. Rex says, I noticed you don't like the heat. That's driving. It's not so much not liking the heat. I can tolerate the heat, but I have to get used to it. You can't, you know, think about it. It's been nice until May 31st? It was nice until May 31st. As soon as June got here, boom, humidity kicked in. We'd had a lot of rain, and then it just got hot. And in our areas, like, the humidity is high because of that. So you have to be cautious, you know, how you go out in it, because I'm indoors most of the time. So when I go out, it's to go ride the bike or to go run errands or whatever. So if you're not acclimated, you can't just go out there and try to be a hero. You have to adapt. I can ride in the heat. I used to race in the heat or whatever. But once you adapted to the heat, then yeah, you drink more water. You do what you need to do to deal with the heat. I can take the heat, but I respect the heat, just like I respect the cold. You have to listen to how you feel, because you can suffer from heat stroke, and that's serious stuff. You know, you got heat stroke, you got hypothermia on the other side when it's very cold. So it's not a tough guy thing or so forth. It's just a matter of knowing that practically I have to adapt to being out there working hard in the heat. Even when I do my yard, thankfully my tractor has places where I can put water. So I have water with ice and everything. So I don't have to keep coming back in. And then I definitely cover my head. And sometimes I'll run a little handkerchief or something, or a scarf down the back of my neck to keep the sun off, especially around when it gets to like July, August around here. It's just very hot. If you dress properly for the heat, yeah, you can tolerate it. If those of you who've ever been to Morocco or Algeria, there's a reason most of the buildings are white, and they wear white because it's hot, you know. And even in desert areas where it cools off at night, during the day, that dry air heats up quickly. So you have to dress appropriately. If you're in Phoenix and places like that, you have to dress properly if you're going to be out in the heat. And you can't forget to drink even when the humidity is low, because you can get dehydrated. So you have to take everything seriously, and then you will be fine. You know, these guys that are in the tour, you'll see, I don't know where the route goes, how far south they go, but whenever they go in southern France, they drink more water, because it's hotter down there, you know. So yeah, you have to adapt. Same thing with the cold. You guys see me here, it's like 65 and lower. I cover my knees, and you see the guys we ride with. I don't play with the weather. I respect the weather, so I'm able to thrive in it. So yeah, I can deal with the heat, but I'm not going to go out there and try to be gung ho, going full gas, and I'm not ready. My body's not ready for it. You don't improve that way. You just set yourself back. Michael Mandarino, he said, are you going to hook up with the WCC? Seems like they put in some serious work at a strong pace. Yeah, I mean, it's not so much, I will ride with them again. The WCC guys, now with the new riders that Team RR has, the pace is very close to the WCC guys. And that's why I made sure in that video that I commented on my heart rate. Then I commented about how I felt. So it really didn't matter. If it had been the Team RR guys, I would have let them go too, because I just felt like crap that day. And so it's a matter of you paying attention to your metrics versus other people. I've talked about it all the time. I knew it should not have felt that hard at 160, 61, 65 beats per minute. That's where I train most of the time. That's like zone 4, bottom of zone 4, like that. That's where I do most of my efforts. That's where you really engage, your aerobic system per se. That's quality work. That's above sweet spot. But that's not where I should be feeling like I'm going full gas. That's what I mean. So it really didn't matter who I was riding with. The reason I rode with the WCC guys that day is the Team RR guys did not ride. They didn't even post a ride. So I just wanted to get with a group and get a few Ks in. And so I just went and picked those guys up. So both of them leave about the same time. So yeah, I'll be riding with them. I'm gonna, I've got different ways I'm gonna mount the camera to give us different views. But yes, I will be riding with all the groups in the area because, like I talked about Chris Froome needing race miles. This time of year, I much rather get group miles in because it's too hot to be out there for 7 hours. And I'm not building base right now. I'm fine-tuning the base I already have. So yes, it's going to be mostly riding with the groups. This is the time to do it. And then late fall, continue, and then winter, after my break, start back with base rides and then mix the group in there. So yes, definitely there will be more fast rides coming in, It's just, I don't think it was only the heat that made me feel that bad because once I took that day off when I got back, I slept a lot more than normal the following day. So I think I was just tired, But the bottom line is I didn't feel like I should have felt, and I listened to that. So yeah, that's important. That's what I wanted people to receive from the video. Don't ignore how you feel to try to prove a point to anyone else. There's no point to that. You end up having problems. So let's see here. Rex is telling us something about he fell on the rail and tore his bicep. Oh. Sheesh. Okay, sorry to hear that. But you should still be able to do rides on your trainer at a minimum. Indoors, I guess. Yeah, Rex talking about the video. Yeah, you have to listen to your body. I mean, so for example, Rex, you're injured. Okay, no one's going to tell you when you're 100%. You're going to know. You're going to be antsy to ride. You're going to tell. But it doesn't mean that you stop being active because you don't want to shut your system down completely. So yeah, your biceps hurt. You can still get on the trainer. You can spin. You can do whatever because you just have to make sure you don't engage that arm or whatever. There's a way you can do that. And then you at least keep some kind of fitness, So I went ahead and took off a complete week just to let myself rest because it looks like I was behind on sleep. I'd get up early, ride, do other things, and I was just burning the candles at both ends. And I fell behind. I think that was part of it. I was more tired than I should have been. So I just slept in and let my body recover. So now I feel like myself. And so going out in the heat, all I got to do is hydrate properly, and I should be fine, So yeah, it's not that big a deal. You drink more. I drank 6 bottles of water on that Saturday ride. I never drink that much, but I drank because I needed to. That's the thing with the heat. You have to drink more because you perspire more. And you pour water on yourself. I always have fresh water with me. You always want to have regular water. You can pour water on your neck. That feels good, Some of the pros that will carry ice in like a stocking thing and put it in the jersey on your spine, it really helps keep your core temperature down, So yeah, let's see here. Loopless, the police is still looking out for the lady that caused the crash. I'm sure she doesn't want to identify herself because even her neighbors will be pissed because these people are diehard fans. They don't want to stop the race. And I know she did not do it intentionally. If you look at the video, it's clear. She didn't do it intentionally. So it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So hopefully they can use that as an example. The rest of the people can start being more serious about it And among themselves, the spectators and fans can at least police the other ones that are not paying attention, to at least keep the race from stopping. So hopefully this will something good will come out of this. Rex says, have you ever thought about collaborating with Be Cool? I'm not sure who Be Cool Cycling is. Be Cool Cycling. Upload your rides, your videos, so we can then ride the route on the smart trainers. I've never heard of them. I'm not sure what it would take to collaborate with them. Be Cool Cycling. Let's see. See if I can find them on here. Let's see here. Be Cool Cycling. Sounds like, is this something like Zwift almost? That's what it sounds like. Let me get a screen share here. Safari. Let's see here. Be Cool Cycling. Let me see what Be Cool Cycling is about. Be Cool Cycling, because they have an app. All right, Be Cool Cycling, virtual cycling simulator. Indoor cycling. For real routes, hill climbs, and results, a simulator is designed to give you the thrill of outdoor riding indoor, challenge other Be Coolers from all over the world. It seems to be a competitor to Zwift, or at least trying to get there. Or train at your own pace with training plans to help you complete your goals. I'm not even sure if these guys would encourage anybody to upload anything up there. Experience a new train with a train. Yeah, it doesn't look like they would even encourage that, Rex. Because it looks like they're trying to sell you a service or something. The guy here, try for free. I don't do much riding indoors. I don't care for it. I do a lot of total body conditioning. You guys know I have the total gym to strengthen the muscles that cycling ignores. Your shoulders and stuff, your core, because you need to do that. You need to make sure you don't neglect other parts of the body that's not heavily used in cycling. I don't know if they would allow, I don't see anything here where they talk about allowing people to upload anything. Because I think Zwift, they probably have their own courses. See what Dwayne's talking about here. What do you think about me taking my pulls on Saturday's ride and I get attacked at sprint points uphill and while still winning, then I pull less now, my buds are crying like babies now. I'm not sure what you're getting at. You took your pulls and then you get attacked and then you guys are sprinting. Sounds like you guys are having fun. That's good. That's what it's about. I guess the biggest thing to note is that if you're pulling and then somebody attacks and you got something left and you can go, that's good. That stresses your system and that can help you improve tremendously. So yeah, that's actually good. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't see where, I was just looking at Rex's request here. Yeah, I don't see where you can upload anything. Cycling, you got fitness. Yeah. So it looks like it's a service. It looks like it's a service. That's kind of what this looks like. So I'm hoping that as the tour goes on, we'll be able to talk more about the different stages. I'm going to be watching the tour. I get it here directly. We have a Dish Network, and I have NBC on there, so I record that. Then I also have Eurosport, and so I can watch that on the computer. That's where I got those screenshots. So we'll be able to talk about some of the interesting stages. That's when I really like the hilly stages, and maybe do some snapshots like I did, where we can do some analysis on critical points on the stages. I think that would help. So, I think it'll be a good format to where I don't have to deal with copyright strikes on YouTube. And we can talk about bike racing and analyze it. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up. I want to thank all you guys for joining. I've got to look at my schedule and see, but it's going to be mostly around this time. We'll probably try to do it every day or every other day where practical. But that's really what I want to do, is cover some of the stuff going on so that we can learn from what we see the pros do per se. Before I go, I want to specify that if you're trying to watch your weight, don't load up too much when you're not training or racing a lot, because your body will just store it and you will just put on weight. So don't be carbo loading or pasta loading or whatever if you're not competing or training hard. If you're resting, eat regularly, and that way your weight will stay the same. So if you're trying to lose weight and you start loading too much when you're not training, you will actually put on weight because your metabolism is still moving. Even when you're not training, it's still up there. Just keep that in mind. Yeah, thanks, man. I like the format too. We're getting there, but we'll get it together. So you guys take care. Stay safe out there. We'll get together on Tuesday with another session. I'm hoping. I'm going to watch the tour and see what's going on. I mean, the stage today was pretty predictable. They thought Alaphilippe would do it again, but Van der Poel pulled away. So this stage with the wreck, I thought we could relate to it because we are all exposed to the same risks out there. And that's really what I want to use it for, is to bring it down to us. How can we benefit from it? That's really what I want to go for, because I don't have video from it to really talk about what they're doing, but I can still use snapshots to talk about critical moves and where they mess up in some of their tactics. Yeah, we can use screenshots to show that. So it's going to be interesting as we go through the tour. We'll be able to interact more because of the Tour de France going on and some of the other races that are coming later in the year. So you guys take care. It's great to have you here, and we'll be back again soon.